G'day, folks. I'm Dr. Zoe Mitchell, and I've been working in men's health for over 20 years now. And let me tell you straight up, in all that time, there's one topic that blokes over 70 almost never want to bring up in my clinic: masturbation. But here's the thing, and I reckon this might surprise you. Most men over 70 are making at least one critical mistake with this completely natural act, and it's quietly doing them harm without them even realizing it. Now, before you click away, hear me out. This isn't about shame. This isn't about telling you what you should or shouldn't do in your own private time. This is about your health, your well-being, and making sure you're looking after yourself properly in this stage of life, because after 70, the rules change, and nobody's talking about it. So today, I'm going to share with you the 5 masturbation mistakes that older men commonly make, mistakes that doctors like myself see the consequences of all the time, but rarely get asked about directly. We'll look at what these mistakes are, why they matter, and most importantly, what you can do about them. No judgment, no awkwardness, just straight talk from a doc who's seen it all. Right, let's get into it. Have you ever stopped to think about whether your body still works the same way it did when you were younger? I mean, really think about it. Your heart, your blood vessels, your nervous system, even your skin, everything responds differently now. It's more sensitive, requires more care. But here's what I see time and time again in my practice. Blokes in their 70s and 80s are still approaching masturbation with the same speed and intensity they had back in their 20s or 30s. And mate, that can cause real problems. Fast, intense, or rushed masturbation doesn't just leave you feeling knackered. It can trigger symptoms like dizziness, rapid heartbeat, or muscle cramps. Now, these might seem minor on their own, but if you've got underlying conditions like high blood pressure, heart issues, or diabetes, you could be putting unnecessary strain on your cardiovascular system. I've had patients come in complaining about these exact symptoms, and when we dig deeper, it turns out their intimate habits are part of the picture. And what about your pelvic floor muscles? These are the muscles that work overtime during orgasm, and as we age, they become more fragile. Overwork them consistently, and you might start noticing problems like difficulty urinating, pain in the pelvic area, or even incontinence. Not exactly what you want to be dealing with, right? Look, I'm not saying you need to stop anything. What I am saying is that masturbation at this stage of life should be approached with a bit more mindfulness, gentler touch, slower rhythm, a calmer environment. These things don't just protect your body. They actually deepen the experience. You might find you enjoy it more when you're not racing to the finish line. Have you ever tried incorporating some deep breathing? Or thought about how your posture might be affecting things? These small adjustments can mean less strain and more satisfaction. Listening to your body and adapting to what it needs now isn't weakness, it's wisdom. A slower pace doesn't make you any less of a man. If anything, it makes you more aware, more in tune with yourself. Just because you've always done something a certain way doesn't mean you should keep pushing your body beyond its current limits. Your body might be trying to tell you something. Are you ready to listen? But physical considerations are only part of the story. The emotional and mental side of masturbation is just as important as the physical health aspects. And that brings me to the second mistake I see far too often. Now, in our digital age, pornography is more accessible than ever before. It's instant, it's everywhere, and it's more stimulating than anything previous generations had access to. For younger blokes, the brain is flexible enough to bounce back from frequent visual overload. But for men over 70, this kind of overstimulation can start to quietly rewire how your brain responds to pleasure, intimacy, and arousal. Here's the science of it. When you're sexually aroused, your brain releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical. But when you're constantly exposing yourself to highly stimulating pornographic content, your brain adapts. It starts needing more intensity to get the same level of satisfaction. Over time, this can lead to what we call dopamine desensitization, where real experiences, things like genuine intimacy with a partner, meaningful touch, or even simple conversations, don't give you the same emotional reward anymore. For older men, this can be particularly harmful. with the natural decline in hormone levels that comes with age. Your brain's ability to regulate emotional highs and lows becomes more sensitive. Flooding it with artificial sexual imagery can affect your memory, concentration, and mood. I've had patients tell me they feel more anxious or irritable after frequent pornography use, especially when they're using it to cope with loneliness or boredom. The recommendation from health experts, myself included, is to consider gentler alternatives. Erotic literature, less intense visual content, or simply returning to your own imagination can provide stimulation without overwhelming your brain's reward system. Many men find this shift leads to deeper, more meaningful self-exploration and reduces the mental fatigue that can follow overstimulation. This isn't about giving up pleasure. It's about reclaiming pleasure that actually enriches your overall health rather than slowly draining it. If you're still watching and finding this valuable, drop a number 2 in the comments below. Let me know you're here and that this content is helping. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps me keep creating content like this. Right, let's keep going. In the later stages of life, emotional well-being becomes just as important as physical health, sometimes even more so. Especially for men living alone or dealing with the loss of a partner, masturbation can become more than just a physical act. It can become a way to escape the silence, to fill emotional gaps, or to cope with stress, grief, or isolation. Now, there's nothing wrong with finding comfort in your own body, but there's a fine line between healthy self-care and using physical release to mask emotional wounds. When masturbation starts replacing emotional connection, it often loses its purpose as a joyful, refreshing experience. Instead, it becomes a habit driven by sadness, routine, or anxiety. Over time, this can dull the emotional reward and even lead to a kind of emotional numbness where the act becomes mechanical. I've had patients tell me they actually feel lonelier or more disconnected after masturbating, particularly when they were using it to escape difficult feelings. This cycle can make it harder to seek out real companionship, new friendships, or even casual social interactions, quietly deepening that sense of isolation. The problem isn't the act itself, it's the motivation behind it. When it's driven by boredom, frustration, or sadness, masturbation becomes avoidance rather than pleasure. The short-term relief it provides fades quickly and often leaves behind a lingering sense of emptiness. If you notice yourself reaching for masturbation more frequently out of habit or emotion rather than genuine desire, that's a significant signal. Ask yourself this question: am I doing this because it feels good, or because I don't want to feel something else? That single question can open the door to deeper awareness. Sometimes, a simple change in routine, a walk around the block, a phone call to a mate, or picking up a hobby you've let slide, can provide the connection your heart is really craving. The goal at this stage of life isn't to avoid masturbation. It's to reclaim it as something affirming and healthy. Your emotional well-being matters. So does your sense of connection to others and to yourself. Don't let loneliness dictate your relationship with your body. Joy, like love, shouldn't serve as a replacement for something missing. It should feel like something added to a life that's already whole. Now, while emotional motivations are powerful, there's another challenge that affects both mind and body, one that creeps in silently. This one isn't about your feelings. It's about an organ that demands more attention than ever as you age. When men reach their 70s and beyond, one area of the body needs more care than ever before: the prostate. When you're younger, this small gland is easy to overlook, but it plays a crucial role in reproductive and urinary health. Yet many older men continue their sexual routines, including masturbation, without considering the changes happening in their prostate. This can lead to discomfort, inflammation, and in some cases, far more serious consequences. The prostate naturally enlarges with age, a condition known as benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. This change can put pressure on the bladder, affect urinary flow, and cause symptoms like urgency, difficulty urinating, or frequent trips to the dunny during the night. But what many older men don't realize is that aggressive or improper masturbation habits, like applying too much pressure, repeatedly delaying ejaculation, or rushing the process, can further irritate the prostate and pelvic area. Over time, this can lead to chronic pelvic pain, increased inflammation, and in rare cases, may mask more serious prostate conditions that go undetected. Some men mistakenly believe that holding back or forcing ejaculation might strengthen their endurance. In reality, this creates unnecessary tension in the pelvic floor muscles and surrounding nerves, putting additional stress on an already sensitive prostate. The result isn't improved performance but more discomfort and longer recovery times afterwards. This is particularly risky for men with a history of prostatitis or urinary tract infections. Health experts recommend that older men approach masturbation with care, patience, and full awareness of their body's well-being. Gentle touch, allowing adequate time for arousal, and allowing complete ejaculation without force are all crucial. More importantly, you should never ignore persistent pelvic pain, changes in fluid, blood in semen, or shifts in urinary habits. These signs might not seem urgent today, but they could be signals of deeper issues developing silently. Now, here's something that came up from viewer feedback that I want to address directly because it's bloody important and almost nobody talks about it. Many of you are on medications for prostate issues. Tamsulosin, finasteride, dutasteride. These are common prescriptions for BPH. And here's the thing, these medications can significantly affect your sexual function. Tamsulosin, for instance, can cause what's called retrograde ejaculation, where semen goes backwards into the bladder instead of coming out normally. Finasteride can affect libido and erectile function in some men. If you're on these medications and you've noticed changes in how things work down there, you're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. This is a real side effect that affects heaps of blokes, but it's rarely discussed openly. My advice: talk to your GP about it. There may be alternative medications, dosage adjustments, or complementary approaches that can help. Don't just suffer in silence thinking this is your lot in life now. There are options, and you deserve to know about them. Protecting your prostate means respecting it. Masturbation can actually support prostate health by promoting blood flow and clearing out old fluids. But this should be done mindfully, not just as a routine, but with awareness of your body's current needs. Your body isn't the same as it was at 30, but it's still capable, still strong, and it deserves proper care. While physical damage is easier to recognize, the emotional reasons why men continue certain habits often run deeper. And the next mistake, if left unaddressed, can wear down not just the body but the spirit as well. As men age, changes in sexual function are common, but not always welcome. Many men, over 70, experience changes in how their bodies respond. Erections might be less firm, take longer to achieve, or not last as long. This is completely normal. But too many older men see these changes as signs of failure rather than simply consequences of aging. In response, they start using masturbation as a way to test their performance. Instead of enjoying the experience, they focus on whether they can get and maintain an erection, whether it's taking too long, or whether something's wrong. This mindset can silently transform a healthy act into something driven by anxiety, self-criticism, and pressure. Performance anxiety doesn't just affect sexual satisfaction, it impacts your entire nervous system. When a man starts worrying during masturbation, the body responds by releasing cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol and arousal are opponents. The more anxiety you feel, the harder it is for your body to relax and respond naturally. What starts as a small worry can quickly become a recurring problem, deepening a cycle of frustration and disappointment over time. Many men don't realize that this cycle isn't just psychological, it's deeply physical as well. Ignoring erectile dysfunction or allowing it to silently dictate your emotional state is one of the most damaging patterns an older man can fall into. Rather than accepting changes and adapting gracefully, many suffer in silence because they feel ashamed or embarrassed to speak with doctors or even admit it to themselves. But here's the truth. These changes aren't a judgment on your masculinity. It's simply what biology does. And the good news is there are ways to support your sexual health without falling into shame or stress. Reframing masturbation not as a performance test but as an act of self-care is essential. It's not about how long or how firm. It's about how you feel. It's about finding comfort in your body without judgment. When this shift happens, the pressure falls away, and the body often responds more freely. If there are concerns beyond stress, like persistent erectile difficulties or changes in sexual fluid, seeking help isn't weakness. In fact, it's one of the strongest things you can do for your health, your confidence, and your peace of mind. Performance doesn't define a man. Presence does. Connection, comfort, and honesty with yourself are what truly matter. Now that we've explored the 5 most common masturbation mistakes older men make, one important question remains. What practical steps can you take today to reclaim healthy, joyful, and safe sexual habits that truly support your well-being? Life sometimes gains depth and meaning with the passing years. It's no longer just about the physical. It takes on emotional, mental, even spiritual dimensions. After 70, life becomes less about proving something and more about respecting the body that's carried you this far, listening to its language, embracing its wisdom, and touching it with compassion. That's true freedom, and you've more than earned it. Masturbation can be part of this journey, without judgment, with honesty, and full of self-compassion. Not a hastily completed act, but an experience shaped by mindfulness and self-love. Aging doesn't mean you have to give up on intimacy. On the contrary, it's the time to rediscover it with grace. This content was created to inspire you to live a full and authentic life, at peace with your body. Now I want to hear from you. What resonated with you most in this video? Is there a thought or feeling you want to apply in your own life? Share it in the comments below. Let's inspire each other. If this video meant something to you, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Until the next video, remember, I create this content for you, with the goal of sharing knowledge and inspiration. Take care of yourselves, and keep living life on your own terms.